Sawubona Mbukeli, thank you so much for joining us on yet another episode of Uhlelo Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. Simlethela lona bukhoma la eGoli phela kumahamba phambili SABC 1 eMzansi for sure. Mina ke nguMajalu Alisha uNhlanhla ngamagama. Mbukeli, khumbule njengenjwayelo nawe phela ungakwazi ukubamba iqhaza kwinkulumo yethu yanamhlanje ebhekene namalungelo akho njengomthengi. Ingcingo zethu azikakashintshi la e-studio zithi 011 714 6918 noma 714 6919. You can also email us your thoughts to consumer@sabc.co.za. You can also leave us a comment on our Facebook page or on Twitter. Sawubona Mbukeli. Ever wondered who would be responsible should you be affected by an accident while shopping or doing business on commercial premises? Many consumers have no idea about the extent of their right to legal recourse should they suffer a health or safety risk while on business premises.
Chantal Oliver kanye nendvodzakati yakhe Danica basashaqekile ngesehlakalo lesabavelela ngesikhathi bamikise inja udokotela wetilwane eminyakeni lemibili yengcikile. Danica bekaneminyaka lemine.
The pit bull broke loose from its collar and ripped her from the chair and then dragged her to the middle of the floor where she was then ripped open. Her whole cheek was open so far that you could see right through the mouth, the teeth on the other side.
Danica waphuthunyiswe theatre lapha atfunga khona ngetitishi leting 400.
She developed diabetes, she developed epilepsy, she's not progressing at school because she's not confident at all in what she's doing. My life and my husband and my other daughters changed forever. Now you're dealing with a child that is chronically having to test sugar, to constantly watch where she is, and you can never leave her alone. She can have her epilepsy fit whenever.
Simo sa Danica sidinga ukuthi ahlala nakekelekile. Ngubani ke lekumele amelane netidingo. Aphinda abhadalele tindleko ta Danica letadalwa ngilokulunywa kwakhe inja. Maka Oliver uthi ngumnikati wenja.
I do believe she is because she should have taken better concern about when you take a big dog like that out and not having it properly tied up or in a muzzle or a choke chain where the dog can't get loose.
Kepha bangakhi bantfu labalinzela ingoti noma kulimala ngesikhathi bathenga etitolo noma bavakashele emabhizinisini lathide. Kunengi lokungendeka ungashelela uwe noma impahla lethide iwe leti kwakho. Lokho kungagucula impilo yakho yonke.
If ikona a sign, you know those yellow signs, and ubonile and you walked on it and you fell, then it's your fault. But if there's no sign, the store's liable because they must warn you. The floor is wet and uzowela.
It was due to negligence. Abantu bangabheki ukuthi impahla bashiye kanjani basebenza khona lapha esitolo. Then mina ngizakhuluma ne-management ukuthi nidile so, ni-compensate so, nibhadala ama-medical expenses nanana.
Section 61 we-Consumer Protection Act uthi umthengisi wempahla kumele amelane netindleko temonakalo lodalwe impahla yakhe. Lokhu kufaka impahla lengakaphephi, impahla lengasebenzi kahle, noma kungabi khona kwemibhalo lefundzisa kahle ukuthi impahla lethide isetshenziswa kanjani. Ngalesinye isikhathi umonakalo awudalwa impahla, kepha awudalwa tinsita letisebhizinisini. Ronald Bobrov ngummeli lothi usebenza ngema-claims lafana nalawa labalelwa ngetulu kwa 100 ngeminyaka. Usilandzisa ngalamanye awo.
I had a case recently where a lady was a member of a gym, and attached to the ceiling of the gym was a trapeze. Turns out that the trapeze, instead of being secured appropriately in the ceiling, it was simply screwed into the ceiling. As this poor person gave a pull on the trapeze, got herself halfway, of course gave way, and she fell, bam, and she injured her back quite badly.
Njengoba kushisa kulamalanga abantu labaningi bagcoka icathulo ledivulekile kude bapholise umtimba. Emva kaloko bagibela titebhisi ema-cash kanye nama-escalator. Umeli Bobrov uthi lokhu kungaba nebungoti.
We had a case of a young person, ironically at Sun City, and going up the escalator in the entertainment centre, wearing flip-flops, and his foot got caught on the side, and the foot was taken off completely. And there was no warning sign to say, do not enter this escalator with sandals, etc., etc., etc. So in a case like that, you couldn't blame the victim, because the victim didn't know that you're not allowed to or should not enter an escalator without wearing proper shoes.
Noma ngabe ke umthengi angakwadi kuclaima uma kwendeka limala esitolo noma ebhizinisini, niyacelwa ukuthi nifunde imibhalo lecwashisako futhi nende konke lokusemandleni ukuthi nitivikele kude ningehlelwa ingoti. Phela kuclaima lokhu kungumqansa. Bobrov uthi kude iclaim iphumelele kumele kube nebufakazi ukuthi umnikati wesitolo ube nebudedengu. Bekasesimeni sekubona ukuthi ingoti ingendeka ebhizinisini lakhe futhi akakabi nekunakekela.
Well, I think the first thing you do is, if you're in a physical condition that you can try and get details of witnesses, people that saw what happened. If you can take a photograph with your cell phone or whatever of the dangerous situation that caused you to fall, locking up the facts as soon as possible, that's really important.
Uthi kuxokelela bufakazi kwenyusa emathuba ukuthi iclaim yemthengi iphumelele.
Store owners, and it's mainly the big groups, don't want members of the public to know that you can succeed in a claim for negligence on incidents that happen in stores. And therefore they fight the cases tooth and nail. They'd be quite happy to spend a huge amount of money defending your claim just so that you should give up.
Emva kokuthi indvodzakati yakhe ilunywe yinja, make Oliver wacela abameli benkampani ya Ronald Bobrov ukuthi bamside ukuthi aclaime. Noma sekuphele iminyaka lemibili kuthiwa lithemba alibulali.
We're trying to resolve the case to see if there's not any way that they can help us with all the medical bills that's been from that. The follow from that, because diabetes, she's type 1, so she's insulin dependent, having to inject every day a couple of times. So yes, it's those costs. It's the reconstruction on her face. Who's going to pay for that?
Zinhle Dlamini, Yilungelo Lakho.
Siyabonga kakhulu kuMadlamini ngalombiko. That was from our producer Zinhle Dlamini. Manje ukuxoxa kabanzi ngamalungelo akho njengomthengi uma phela uthola ukulimala ungaphakathi esitolo noma ebhizinisini. Masamukele usisiya wotshela yena ongumeli. Siphinde sibe nawe sis Omar Amaru, yena obuya ke kwa Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman. Ladies, a very good afternoon. Ngiyanamukela ohlelweni. Thank you for joining us.
Siyabonga, siyabingelela nababukeli ekhaya.
All right. Now, ladies, asingene kuyindaba yethu. Nisibonile istory sika Danica. Sisiya njengomeli ucabangani wena?
Well, it's a very sad story, I must say. I mean, considering that I'm also a parent, it could have happened to anyone. In that instance, the liability should vest with either the owner of that dog, alternatively the person who is in possession of that dog. It might be the center where the dog was. I don't know the facts. What is legally required is that if you are an owner of a dog, you are expected to take reasonable care to ensure that it does not cause harm to any other people.
Okay.
In as much as you, as the person who is in that situation of the child, you are okay. Now you are expected, you don't have to expose yourself to for example, a situation whereby injure is a challenger. Do you understand?
Endanger yourself.
Exactly, endanger yourself. So basically, what should happen in that instance is that if I was the mother of the child, I would go against the owner or the person who responsible for danger, because that's just the legal claim.
Okay.
But there is a civil claim, a potential civil claim that can be persuaded in that case.
Okay. Kuyini ubumehluko ne-civil case sisi?
A civil case, a case whereby you have suffered damages or losses. In this instance, because of the challenges as Meneo Umama, in civil claim, he can claim for a loss suffered as a result of the pain and suffering, the past and future medical bills. Zomdana lo utiwe. Exactly.
All right.
In fact, currently I'm involved in a similar situation whereby, but in this case, I'm acting for the person who was handling the dog. But he is not the owner. It's like Diamba Nenja Yako Alicia.
It causes damage.
Exactly.
Okay.
But the question then that must be asked is, Gubane kufuneka be liable for that damage. Nguwe Alicia wena owner yenzo kanye ndim. But in terms of umthetho, I'm sure this week there is this hype on the issue of negligence. On this famous case of Oscar Pistorius. It's still applicable here, the issue of negligence. To say that. As mnamdu ebehambisa lenja, what is the duty of care that is expected of me? Did I take reasonable steps to ensure into bana lenja ndibhizi nayo it does not harm the third party? Okanye, is it expected that you as the owner who is not here, for example, the steps that should have been taken there, lanja, for example, one of the steps that could have been taken to ensure into bana lanja ayilumi bantu, it was supposed to have been leashed.
It broke from the leash.
It broke from the leash. Okay, and so if it happens that it goes to the court, this case, they would consider those instances to say that the owner, were they negligent? Did they foresee the possibility that lanja is a breaker from the leash, ateke abantu, and cause them danger and harm? If it did, were there any reasonable steps that were taken? Or did they, by the owner, the people that were
okay,
did they fail to take those reasonable steps?
Please join us shortly after this ad break. Sikwamukele futhi mbukeli, khumbula phela ukuthi nawe usengabamba iqhaza kwinkulumo yethu ngokusishayela ucingo la ku 011 714 6918 u 011 714 6919. Ungasithumela umbono wakho nge-email yethu ku consumer@sabc.co.za. Futhi usithinte ku Facebook na ku Twitter. Sis Oma, ngiyazi ukuthi ivet is also one of the service areas. So lo mama ubengeza kunina hlampazology complaint. Awusichazela ukuthi ningayithatha yini le case and why?
Okay, mangithi ngilalele i-case kaChantel nendodakazi yakhe Alicia, ngibona ukuthi whatever that happened kulo mntwana, it's into genuine. So based on CPA, masibheka CPA, iyamkhavara on a basis yokuthi sekunama medical bills that occurred. Yabona, but in any case ngizocala ngokuchaza ukuthi i-case kaChantel nomntanakhe it falls under ordinary law ye negligence yalo muntu loyo bekanenja. But however, mase accumulate ama medical bills, then office ye consumer goods and services ombud can deal with that, because now we can hold umuntu liable kulawo medical bills, because manje umama umntwana uChantel can prove ukuthi there's medical bills eziyeza occur khona lapho, then we can work on that and run with it. Yes.
All right, sisiya awusichazele kabanzi yini kahle kahle liability, uthini umthetho nge-liability?
Okay. I-liability i-situation apho if kukho umuntu oye wenzakala okanye engadzakalanga waluza, then kufuneka i-blame ibe apportioned to emntwini.
Okay.
So i-liability then gets into place whereby you have to determine into bana kanye who must take a responsibility for this conduct, be it a conduct or an omission. So that's where the issue of liability gets in.
Okay.
The difference between a civil claim and a criminal claim is that a criminal, there's somebody who has died, amongst other things, or there's a bodily injuries. A civil claim is that there's some financial loss, amongst other things, that has been suffered.
Okay.
So that's when you start talking about liability, to say that somebody must be responsible or take a blame. But this is there's a financial value. I find in a criminal side corner.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Ubani ongaclaim for liability?
Whoever who has suffered loss can claim liability. It's called a delictual claim.
Okay. Let's go back
to the case that has been shown earlier on. The liability there is the fact that there is some finances that are involved.
Serious finances.
Serious finances. There are some medical bills. And the question is, who must be responsible for those medical bills? When I'm talking about medical bills, it's medical bills, for past medical bills and future medical bills. And also for pain and suffering, in terms of the law, you are entitled to claim for it. That whole inconvenience as a result of, exactly, as a result of somebody else's negligence. Yes.
Sis Oma, I know uqeda usichazela ukuthi i-Consumer Protection Act iyakulokhu iyakufaka lokhu. But ngicela usichazele kune-quote lana Sis Oma ithi, the Consumer Protection Act says consumers can lodge legal claims for health or safety risks they suffer while shopping. Chaza uthini lo?
Okay, masibheke i-Consumer Protection Act on Section 61. Iyasho ukuthi if ever you are a consumer and you are busy doing your shopping, then you've got the right, if any product or goods or services that has been rendered to you has caused you harm. So there you've got a full claim. But this thing is twofold, Alicia. When we talk about Section 61, the Consumer Protection Act, we talk about the product, the goods, osithengile zizokukhosela iharm.
Ukuthi ugule mhlawumbe uvule into oyidlayo esitolo.
Exactly. Mhlambe ube ne food poisoning because you ate something and all that. Okay. So that is the one factor. Then the second factor, yile besiqeda ukuyikhuluma yo Chantel nomntanakhe ukuthi if ever you've suffered some injuries or harm, and then mawuqeda lapho this thing ayikho direct kustolo or kusomebody, but you can prove ukuthi lento le ikuzele iharm, and then these are the bills that you had to pay. So that will also fall under Section 61, 2.5. So what we are saying here is a consumer needs to know that they've got the right based on Consumer Protection Act. Ukuthi mawuthenge into, usizenze example, you've suppliers or importers or distributors, they are liable ukuthi banikeze i-warning or for a product abawathengisayo. They need to do that. So then if ever when ikosele harm or injuries as a consumer, we then look at the warning that was given. Okay. And if the warning was inadequate, then a supplier or a distributor or importer, then they are fully liable. And you as a consumer, you don't have to prove anything. The consumers need to understand, because sometimes abantu bethu, they are scared to come forward because they are thinking now we need to prove, how am I going? No, when something, product, goods, services has caused you harm, you don't have to prove anything, you can claim. But then if case Chantel nomntanakhe, now it's a case yokuthi kunama bills are occurred, then we run with that. We run nalawo bills, then sithi umama uShantel nomntwana, they've got a claim genuine, like uSiyase kakhulumile ukuthi they've got the ground to claim.
All right,
yes.
All right. Sisi, awusichazele some of the most common cases mhlawumbe abawaletha kuwena ama-client.
Okay. For example, liability whereby you get into a store, right, and you fall. There's a tendency of thinking that as members of the public we are entitled to sue, but as a private practitioner we have to look at things. You can't just come and say I want to sue. You have to assess the case. In terms of the law, there's a duty of care on the property owner. For example, in a store, is the owner of the store. He's got a duty to make sure you are safe from harm. Whether there is any leakage that has been spilled up a building in, or anything as a uwe. Do you understand? Yeah. In as much as the law also expect me as a public member, when I'm walking into the store, for example, let's take for example a situation whereby I'm busy on my cell phone, right, and I'm texting, and I just fall, and the next thing I expect to be compensated for that liability. Legally speaking, we'll have to look at where now what is to make sure that you protected, you avoiding the harm. In as much as the shop owner, the things that will be looked at is shop owner, what are the steps that it has taken to prevent this harm from occurring? Do you understand? And most probably they would say that maybe there was a sign, like you have seen in the insert. There was a sign that was put there when akangwibone because now you've contributed to the negligence. So you cannot expect to be to be compensated for your own negligence. So people should also be mindful of the fact that your negligence also does contribute in terms of the liability. It's a different situation if you are working on the shelves, you are busy shopping, and whilst you are busy shopping, something fell from the shop.
Yeah.
That one, it's completely different from the example that I've given earlier on.
Sis Oma, awusichazele i-process mhlawumbe yokureporta i-case umuntu mengeza kunini eseyithola ukuthi unenkinga.
Oh, okay. I-process yokureporta i-case is just ukuthi abantu bafonele i-call center number yethu and then they will be assisted. And as I always emphasize ukuthi abantu bangasabe bezokuthi ama-calls will be taken in English. Ama-calls wethu are taken in all languages. Yes, ukuthi abantu bakwazi ukuzi-expressa. So uguti ukwazi get a hold of our office, you call our call center number. I'm sure the number is appearing on the screen, and then you will be assisted.
Kubi process engakanani sis Oma mhlawumbe musho nje isikhathi from umuntu eyi-reporter nithatha isikhathi esingakanani nokuyi-resolve?
Basically ama-open cases wethu athatha 15 days.
Okay.
And then magube there is more evidence required, then we are talking about 74 days. Yes.
Okay.
But
So it also
15
depends
days,
on the nature, the seriousness of each case.
Uguti hamba kanjani.
Okay.
But coming back to what Sia was highlighting, Uguti, if ever the consumer is in the shop or store, we are shopper awelo is something. Yabona lezo zinto lezo based on the CPA. Here area esithi kuyo, we cannot say the store must pay. Njengoba bekalibelash, we need evidence yokuthi now you must prove. It doesn't go without saying like section 61 layer yokuthi magube i-product ikulimazile or ukudla kukulimazile. Then you don't have to
prove anything. I want to get back to that point, sis Oma. I guess thathe nje ikhefu Mbukeli. We're going to take a very quick ad break. Please, hlala nathi. Welcome back, Mbukeli. We continue with our discussion on liability claims and your rights as a consumer. Shesha usishayele ucingo usibuze umbuzo noma phela ubeke umbono la studio. Our participation line is of course 011 714 6918 or 011 714 6919. You can email your thoughts to consumer@sabc.co.za or alternatively catch us on our social media networks as well as that's Facebook and Twitter, of course. All right, we're going to take some of your Facebook messages. Fani Kenny Tolo says, if there is no warning sign to a danger area, the owner must be responsible. Yes, we've proven that one over and over again. Fani, thank you so much for driving the point home. Zamoxolo Reche says, mna ndibona kubalekile ukureporta ukuzobonakala ukuba kuthatha abaphi amanyathelo malunga nesiganeko. Nabo abathengisi kubalulekile ukuba kwindawo engayingozi abe khona ama-warning signs so that nathi sizoqaphela. All right, I think she says basically it's very important for the owners of those businesses themselves to put those signs and make them very clear so that sonke siyakhona ukuzibona. Umotshela Team Dletshe uthi cha sekungashiyana kuthi uba ubudedengu. All right, I think he thinks it's a negligence there also needs to be taken into account. Mulele Tengani Kalito says report immediately to the shop owner or the manager. Thank you so much, Babugeli, with your Facebook messages there. Sis Oma, let's talk about this. Ubukhuluma ngento eserious yokuprove nongaprove, but I want Usisiya to explain to us. We saw this in the insert, lawyer yethu laphayana eti uBobroff eti consumers would have to prove that the property owner was negligent, the injury or damage was foreseeable, and the property owner did not take necessary care. How do you then as a consumer go about proving this?
Okay, I'll make an example. There's two familiar cases on this issue of liability of the stores. One, there's this woman uBrikel owayeshopisha a spa. Ubhizula pespa ulapha ngasezifrijini xa lapha ngasezifrijini xa ithatha something and the next thing awe atyibilike awe. Do you understand? But kule fridge athatha kuye, it's a case you can also get it on internet. Xa ethatha lento ayithatha yapha fridge, I think she was trying to get some juices and then she falls awe. Okay? And the next thing asuwishe is spa for negligence. All right? The case yakhe was that they should have taken steps to ensure there was the water. I think there was a water, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But bona case yabo on the other side was that they could not foresee that there was going to be danger in this side because they were working on the other side. I think it was a freezer that they were defrosting and whatever, and then the warning sign was put on that side. But unfortunately, amanzi adlula tukwenyicala. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the lady lost the case. She lost the case because on a balance of probabilities, the evidence yakhe could not prove into okubana nyani she is entitled to a claim.
Ngobani?
When you're putting evidence in court, you have to convince. Remember, in a civil claim, it's my right because I'm a court in the approach court in Dobana, I'm entitled to this because of the negligence. So I must show you court in Dobana, nyani these people were negligent, that they have foreseen the harm. They did not take they did not take steps to ensure in Dobana there's no dangers are suffered. They failed to act. Do you understand? And then and in court you must produce the evidence. When you produce the evidence, you do the cross-examination. Do you understand?
Yeah, yeah.
How you convey your case in court is very important.
It's what wins.
In this case, USPA, they said, no, we took reasonable steps. This is how we do this thing, your defroster. And these are the steps that we have taken. Abantu bethu abaklinayo bakhona time and again to do this. Baluza. A second case is case somewhere in Cape Town. This woman was a 51-year-old woman. She was working in the mall. Wakibilika, uvawa, upuka, ukopuka kwakhe, wabiza umntana wakhe, and then wathatha wasiwa esibhedlela. Now I think it happened in somewhere in Cavendish. So xa esuwisha ke ngoku suwisha the shopping center for failing to take steps to make sure indobana surface was clean and all that.
Yeah.
Evidence that they produce, it goes to an extent of saying that policy yethu ithi xa kunento emdaka apha kwi-shopping center yethu, i-security iyafika ime to avoid abantu
okay,
do you understand?
On that.
And nansi roster esiyiprodusayo to say that abantu abaklina le area bebekhona during these times and all those times. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's the amount of evidence that had to be produced to prove that we were not negligent. We took all the steps that we can. But to play case yase Cavendish Square, what that woman did, the case was based more on assumption, which came out during the cross-examination. I assume it was some liquid. Do you understand? Kanti xa ufikelwe ila situation yendokubana maybe you get injured. Ingqondo yakho kumele ikhawuleze isebenze. You must take pictures.
Yes.
Do you understand? To prove your case.
Okay.
Indobana, okay, this was the environment where the damage or the danger took place.
Okay.
You must have your witnesses to
Laba
substantiate.
babonile.
Exactly. But witnesses they were not collaborating evidence. So how the case was presented, that was one of the things in the note from an objective point of view. Because when you're sitting in court, remember the judge does not have emotion about this thing.
Yeah.
They're looking at the evidence that has been presented. And you have to convince them on a balance of probabilities.
Sis Obana, we often hear that customers are bullied into not taking all these big shops and retailers and services into court or probing the issues further. How do you then fight when you're not so financially capable? Ukuthi uzoya kubameli abantu abazokuchazela even the process ukuthi izohamba kanjani?
Brilliant question, Alicia. You know, I'm listening to Usiya ukuthi, hey, this process it takes long. And for a normal consumer, just an ordinary consumer, you don't need that.
Okay.
So we are grateful to tell our consumers, the Ombuds office are set up for those things. So you don't have to think, okay, so now where do I start? Must I start on looking bank balance? No, you just pick up your phone or phone the Ombud office and they facilitate your thing. And the bank procedure, it's long winding. And here I am telling you about 15 days, 75 days, 74 days
and
max.
cost free.
Yes, cost free, all the stress and yonkinto. So we are encouraging our consumers, you don't feel lost, or you cannot afford an attorney. The Ombud office is set up for that.
It's an option.
Yes, for your rights.
All right.
Yes.
Sis Omang, a caller on the line. Sisi, are you on the line with us? Good afternoon to you. Mvulane, are you on the line?
Yes.
A very good afternoon, Gwena Poti. Siyakubingelela sicela uqhubeka ngombuzo noma umbono. Mvulane?
Okay, my question is like, what happens when both criminal and the civil case is combined together in a scene, like if there is any shootings and then like something happens, like because some criminals will do hide behind some important stuff of different clients. So now, like who is responsible for those damages? Is the company or is like the owner of those particular things is there insurance? What is happening?
All right, siyabonga kakhulu bhuti Mvulane. Umzwile sis?
I'm not sure if he's asking about the difference between a criminal and a civil.
Yes, civil, yes.
Right. But Mvulane, there are two issues that we're dealing with here. A criminal matter, it's whereby you got the bodily harm, death of a person, the state is involved because something has happened to somebody else. But a civil claim, it's something different, whereby, like I explained earlier on, to say that you have lost and you are claiming some compensation in a form of money, then that's where the civil claim is. Kule case yako.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Kubeka sis.
Kule case uyibuzayo, but again, I'm not discouraging the members of the public from pursuing their rights, but I'm just trying to show the realities. Because people tend to think that we as lawyers, we are miracle makers. We can't. We have to be realistic to say that we're operating within certain parameters.
Absolutely.
And when we're looking at these cases, we do them within the rules and procedures that are there in the books. That's why we've got laws.
And if you tell
exactly.
them
I mean, it's the honest truth to say that these are the things that we consider.
Okay.
Because what's the point of saying that let's go ahead with the case knowing very well that it's not going anywhere?
Thank you so much, Sisi. All right, but Mvulane ngithemba ukuthi mhlambe uchazekile umbuzo wakho. If ungekho satisfied usengaqhubeka futhi usithinte futhi noma usendele i-email noma usithole ku Twitter na ku Facebook. Mbukeli yithi futhi sithi shelele ngaseyitolo ungayindawo siyabuya khona manje. Welcome back futhi Mbukeli. Siqhubeke ngodaba lethu. Mbukeli sikhuluma ngokuthi yini ekumele wena uyazi uma phela uthola ukulimala endaweni njengesitolo noma ebhizinisini. My studio guests are attorney Messiah Wotshela and of course is Omar Amaru from the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman. Abazokusiza ukuthi phela wenze njani uma uzithola ukulesimo. Sis Omar, awusichazele futhi i-process nina njenge ombudi niyadinga i-proof extensive nama photos and all those things before nithatha i-case.
No, Tina, Alicia, what we do, mawufonela i-call center yethu, capture i-complaint yako. You tell us ukuthi problem yako yinani. Then immediately must get to capture i-complaint yako. We escalate to a supplier. So you may find out ukuthi wonke lama evidence bekakhulunywa usiya. Tina siwanidi, especially with the big brands, because once uleya i-complaint ngesitolo esithize esikhulu, masi escalator i-complaint ebuya ku-ombudsman, they handle it there and there. Okay. And bazo conclude ukuthi, okay, how about compensating and all that.
Mr. Fisher out of court sometimes.
Exactly.
Okay.
But obviously if the claim is out of this world, bazofuna all the evidence, then it's when we go back to e-complaint and say, okay, do you have pictures? Okay. Like for example, besikhuluma la nge-food poisoning. Ngithanda ukutshela ama-consumers ukuthi, please, mawukube udiscover ukuthi udle something yakugulisa, that doesn't mean ukuthi that particular thing yagulisile. Yeah. Because we look at the fact yokuthi throughout that day, what did you eat? So right. Such things. And
okay. Uma uthi ngithathe uDocas from eDavidton. Sis Docas yakwamukela ohlelweni umbuzo ma.
Anginambuzo.
Okay, bekumbona ma.
Inkinga yami ukuthi ngike ngaya eShoprite Lakeside Binoni. So ngathi ngisamile la itafule labo le glass lawa la ngishaya la ngikhubaza la ngiscratcha la ngikhuthisa buhloko. So what happened kabeki mama kabeki botsa skona ko man mpatele manager because ke na motho tsantsoro ang attend but nowhere to be found. They were ducking and abantu bathi ima sesi ima no, I'm going to stand here as they must just attend to me. But then as it's dala was a controller yangifaka ibhandishi nane ngasenyama ngasengithi mina, but if bekuwumlungu benizomtatamise nimise namasemateksini kare, how do you operate kare ale operation yenu angi-understand ukuthi operate kanjani.
Ima-ke ma kugcine kwenzakale njani? Uke wathatha amanye iy'nyathelo ezinye ukuthi ubayise hlampe kumeli or uye kwi-consumer goods?
Azange ngize nyenze nesavele ngathula kare noma ngaya babaleka akunani izinto ezenzakala njoba ngithi ngibona le kare good shot
Okay.
I've got at least right ukuthi ngacomplain.
Mam Dorcas bamba nje kanjalo nangu usisi uzokuchazela ukuthi uthini. Ladies, sis
yeah ngakuthe phela uri le incident yenzakale nini Mam Dorcas?
Yenzekile last year.
Okay mama, you're still within your rights which or utlari phone la hemo contact center una upute claim ya how. So like Nekicho Alicia, these
Yes.
big brands really they cooperate.
Okay.
They
All
cooperate.
right. Mam Dorcas ke sicela please nansi number ye Consumer Goods Office ubathinte mawubafonele.
Yes, I wrote it down.
Siyabonga kakhulu mawucela usisi omusha ukuthi umbone la kwilungelo lakho.
Okay, thank you so much.
Siyabonga kakhulu.
Siyabongela ilungelo lakho.
Thank you so much, Mam Dorcas.
Thank you.
Sisi,
Bye-bye.
Siyabonga ma. Is there anything you want to add to her complaint, Sisi?
No.
All right.
I just
so you
wanted to make sure that it still
Oh,
falls.
it's still within
there's
the
a prescription
Please
period.
explain, because I don't even think people are aware of the fact that there's a certain time when you can claim for certain things as well.
Yeah. Once again, from my side, which is a civil litigation, there's a time period within which you can claim a compensation if you have suffered a harm or damages. You've got 3 years from the date when the event took place to claim. Beyond the 3-year period, you've got to have a very, 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 very serious defense to say why you did not lodge or institute the actions within that time period.
All right. Now,
Yeah,
ladies,
that's why I was asking about when did it happen.
Ukuthi, when did it happen? No, luckily, you say umnyaka. But now, let's talk about something here, ladies. This is very serious. We've seen footage of people faking their injuries and also actually going ahead to try and claim and defraud the store. This is a serious, serious matter if it's proven otherwise. Please explain to us, Sisi.
Okay. When you, like in a case of a fraudulent claim, and if it's found out that indeed there was a fraudulent claim, one can expose himself to a criminal.
What makes it fraudulent? Sisi,
Okay.
let's start there.
What makes it fraudulent? It's misleading. It's misleading that there's something happened whereas there is nothing that really happened.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what makes it fraudulent.
In other words.
Yes, uqamba-manga.
Okay.
You're exposing yourself to a criminal action, and the punishment of criminal action, it might be jail sentence. It's not it might be jail sentence. It's very rare that you would find like a fine, depending actually on the level of amount that is involved. Exactly.
All right, we've just got an SMS coming through. Somebody wants to know what happens if a child accidentally breaks a bottle of peanut butter or something inside the shop premises. Is she liable for the cost?
No, not at all. Not at all. According to CPA, if when as a consumer you are inside a shop and then something breaks, the owner has to prove what you did that intentionally.
Okay.
And given the experience I've been around, it has never been proven. Even your handbag, I like to tell the ladies, good, sometimes when you've went shopping as a spa, do your grocery, when you're thinking of getting inside a garment store, you said, hey, now I'm carrying big bags. What if something goes wrong? No, the owner must really prove that you broke those things intentionally, and they can never prove that. They can never prove that.
All right.
So if your child breaks something, tough.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, let's hope uzwileke usisi ekhaya. Let's take uNosipho from KwaZulu-Natal. Sis Nosipho, sawubona siyakwamukela ohlelweni.
Hayi usipho ndima eMondlo esigodini sakwamakhanga.
Siyakwamukela but Sipho, kunjani kodwa Nsizwa? Sicela uqhubeke ngombuzo noma umbono.
Okay, ngiyaphila sisi. Mina last year ngashiblika kwesinye sesitolo.
Yebo bhuti.
Mangabe bengabekanga warning ukuchaza ukuthi ke la kuyacleana okanye kwenzakalani. Mangimtshela umnikazi wesitolo ukuthi nguwe okumele ube responsible for i-safety yabathengi. Kwacela ukuthi isesimba lento engikhule ngimtshela ngayo. Kwakumele ngenze kanjani? Ngoba mangimthi ngiyamtshela naye uyangitshela. Ngoba wayikhombisa ukudelela ngendlela ayengiphendula ngakhona.
Uma ukhuluma naye imanager bhuti?
Ngikhuluma ngomnikazi wesitolo exactly.
Okay, all right. Okay, sicela ulalele lapho ke bhuti Sipho bazokuphendula osisi bami.
Okay, ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Siyabonga bhuti wami. Sis Oma.
Le complaint ka bhuti Sipho, the way ngilalela ngakhona ne, ama complaint aso aba challenging in our office because into mayenzakale last year and now it's his word against the store's word. So we need to check ukuthi manje ngempela le sign beyikhona na. So we're going to have to depend kuma cameras if footage yaleso store.
And most sign. Uthi the sign there was no warning
so
sign.
the only thing Ombuds office engayenza, we need to check ama footage wabo ukuthi ngempela these signs are always there.
So kubalekile ukuthi lento miyenzeka we report for such things ezifana ne evidence ukuthi bangaze bazi erase in case bengafuni ukuthi nenkantolo. Sisi. All right. Okay, then let's talk about these different scenarios. Sisi, what would happen? All right, we're going to talk about these different scenarios shortly after this break. Manje asithathe ikhefu lethu lokugcina sizogoqa uhlelo khona manje masibuya. Ungakulingi uphuthele. Sikwamukele to our final segment Mbukeli Shesha usifonela ubuza umbuzo usizakale ngaphambi kokuthi sihambe usameleni ke Mbukeli shaya ucingo khona manje. Let me take some of your Facebook messages. Nangu Precious Millicent Dube uthi yena, I will report the problem to the owner and the manager must pay. It's not that easy and simple, says Precious. I hope ukuthi ubulalele ukuthi what are the necessary steps that you need to follow. Zandiswa Zitumelo says, I'll go straight to the owner and tell him that I've been injured a shop yakhe. Okay, of course, following the necessary steps there again, Zandi. So that's the first step though. And Mxolisi Future Mashana says, it happened to me this year. I don't know which door to knock to. Ngalimala emol. All right, I want you to address this one, Yoglimala emol Sisia. Especially we've seen a rise in crimes of mall attacks and things like that. What if umuntu uyadubulega ngempela esestole shop hell?
All right. In that case, we're dealing with two cases here. There's a criminal case which must be investigated by police, of which the state is involved.
At this stage, in terms of liability.
No.
Okay.
Yes, that's the one. If ulimele wasafarisha damages maybe wonzakala okanye waswelekelwa ngumzali, then you must claim for a loss of support amongst other things. Then the question is, who must be sued? Whether you should sue the store okanye you should sue ababantu badubule. Under those circumstances, the question that we'll be asking is, did the mall took reasonable steps to prevent this crime from happening? In most instances, you would find that they have, like for example, by installing the cameras. There's even securities that they've employed. There is no way that liability can be imposed upon them. Do you understand? But if it happens that you can institute civil claim against them, which in most instances it doesn't happen because abaphangeli abanamali, so civil claim
that's
you
very
can just
sad,
get it.
Cecilia,
you can just get a judgment.
Please hold that thought, Cecilia. That's very sad. Let's take our final caller, Sis Norma from Epit Retif. Sis Norma, sasiyakwamukela ocingweni.
Yebo sesi, njani?
Siyabonga sisi ukuthi ubamba uline, sicela nje usibekele udaba lakho.
Ngisacela ukubuza kuhlukahlukile mara umuntu mangabe mhlawumbe uyalimala ukulimaza ngamabomu akutshela ukuthi ngulimaza ngamabomu unqophezeleka kanjani lokho emotionally uyazi nje umoya ukuthi umuntu akulimaze kakhulu kabuhlungu besathi uyakulaya kodwa.
Okay sisi, okay.
Mina nginenkinga ungishayise ngemoto wajike wathi angilaya.
Oh, umuntu omaziyo okushayise ngemoto?
Angimazi nje kodwa userenkini sebayamazi wangishayisa wangihlanganisa nobonda wangigqiva ngangishayisa lathangeni kabuhlungu kakhulu futhi kodwa athi uyangilaya.
Okay sis Norma,
manje ngithi ngifuna ukuclaim abathi hayi mangaba ulimala ngakhulu awuphukanga awenzakanga kodwa ngalimala emoyeni into ethi uyangilaya.
Okay sis Norma, sasicela ulalele mhlawumbe sisi bangakusiza. Is there any ground for her to claim?
Magamba report the police station criminal case lay for criminal injury, bodily injuries.
Okay.
Even if akalimalanga, no one is entitled to do that to anyone. Do you understand? It's like assault, case assault. Akomntu uvumelekile into bana makabethe omnye umuntu. Kumele ayoyireport le case police station. Amapolice investigate.
Thank you so much. Kuyona kuzobe civil.
Criminal. If the state is involved, that's criminal.
Right. Okay.
If there's money involved, where I'm getting involved.
Okay.
That's civil.
That's civil. Oh, siyabonga kakhulu. All right. Now, ladies, let's wrap the show. Kamnandi. Ngicela nisichazele ukuthi what are the useful tips esingasebenzisa? Consumers need to take their own initiative nge-safety yabo bantu bakithi. But how can we help them do this? What are the useful tips is all?
Okay, into engayitshela ama-consumers nje ukuthi as much as the ombuds offices are there for them as consumers based on CPA, sicela ukuthi nabo when they do things, like for instance masingenza example ukuthi mawuhamba emall ukuthi uze uslipe off were you watchful? What were you doing? You know? Yes. Were you on the phone texting or what? You couldn't see the sign that says floor slippery. Yeah, and most of the things smele sizama ukuz-avoida when we are doing our shopping izinto ezifana noku-arguisha nabantu basesitolo. If then i-example engayinikeza like prices izinto maziseselini, you pick up a thing iku-sale board mawufika kuthili iringa something different, yabona. So if you call a manager, you ask for the manager and the manager is unable to resolve your problem, siyacela ama consumers, then know that the ombuds office is there for you, because those are the things that ama complaints esiwatholayo asenzela ama problems ukuthi siyasa khuluma la earlier ukuthi the right step ukuthi you need to tell the owner of the shop. That is the first step. But if you are not getting any joy from the owner of the shop, know that the ombuds office is there for you. We will facilitate this thing, because magune problem, there's always emotions involved. So the ombuds is there to facilitate. When uhlele ekhaya ungawarsheki next, then we'll come back to you and give you the proper report
in 15 days. Uzwe kahle Mbukeli. Sisiya Nina nisiza kanjani very quickly?
I cannot agree more with what Mrs. Oma is just saying. And I'm also going to add in Dokbana, people must make sure in Dokbana nabo xa besezi-malls they do bathatha amanyathelo into yobana bangazifaki kwingxaki into yobana ezabangela into yobana bonzakale. Do you understand? And also if umuntu uzifumana kule situation yokwenzakala, they must gather as much information as they can, including contact details the witnesses in the surrounding areas, taking pictures, exactly, and report this thing with immediate effect whilst it's still fresh in your mind.
All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. You've been so helpful in the studio, and I'm sure to ababukeli bethu emakhaya. Thank you so much. Well, hi Mbukeli, sesifike emaphethelweni ohlelo lanamhlanje. Ngithanda ukubonga izivakashi zethu ngesikhathi nolwazi labo. Ngiphinde futhi ngibonge nani phela babukele emakhaya ngokuba nathi kuze kube manje. Please do join us again next week Friday for another consumer topic of the week. Ukhumbule ukuthola impinde ezinhlelo zethu. Please tune in to the very same channel, SABC 1 eMzansi for sure, njalo ngomsombuluko kusukela ngelunch kuya ngo-1 o'clock. From myself, Alicia Ntombi Akajali, it's goodbye. Salega.